Hello, everyone. Welcome to another new episode of Get Heard podcast. We have Sharon in our show with us, all the way from LA. Welcome to Get Heard podcast, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's start with your background, what you've been doing, how you started with the crypto, what attracted you to crypto, and your recent projects that's going on around your space.
Sure. I fell in love with crypto about 8 years ago. When it wasn't really something that was well known or talked about. My background is in the payments industry, and I was constantly looking for alternative payment methods and solutions. And I work with people globally, and the fact that it's so expensive and so difficult to transact or to send funds between countries. um, you know Obviously, it's changed even within the last 4 years, within the last 2 years, and within the last year. Um, and of course, blockchain and crypto has helped massively with that. And I was very lucky that, a lot of my clients were open to it and were open to the idea. And, we've done some great projects together. It's really helped a lot of my clients expand globally. Obviously, costs, are much, much lower. It was crazy in terms of, just conversion from currencies and sending it. It could be like 10%, it's crazy. So I think that's kind of where I started really getting into it, falling in love with it. It's exciting, it's new, it's changing everything really that we know. I mean, it's not like, just regular industries. Like now, you have doctor, lawyer. No, you have lawyer that is specifically for blockchain crypto. This that's specifically for blockchain and crypto. So it's great because there's not a lot of people who have expertise in this industry, in this field, but the ones that do, I've seen them succeed, massively. um, and it's phenomenal to watch. So I've met people from all over the world, traveled all over the world. And I mean, it's just this industry, it's crazy. Really, it's just crazy how it brings people together, and it just breaks all of the boundaries and all of the borders. So that's really why I fell in love with it, what keeps me going, and basically how I started.
There's a great point there, yeah, that about remittance. Even people all over the world sending money, and you know, you're paying 10%, 15% charges just to send your own money to another part of the world. And especially we have internet now, which is I don't know, about 30 years old now, and we still have to pay such a huge amount of charges is just it's mind-boggling. And with blockchain, what it does, it brings down a lot of that charges very low. And I think what we've noticed also in the few years is that there's a lot of development around that space as well. All the payment gateways and all the different payment platform that has been developed over the years. But I think the ultimate solution is blockchain as well. And yeah, it solves a lot of the problem. Do you reckon there's a lot of regulations that's been coming up in the US? Because I think especially Miami is like one of the crypto capitals, so as to say. And has there been a lot of developments around that area?
It's pretty crazy to witness, because 4 years ago, when we basically started, I guess you can call it importing, the software and um, different types of payment solutions from mainly Europe to the US. There wasn't really so much regulation. Like, it was pretty open. You could come with, a European license, and you could 100% open a crypto exchange here, no problem. Maybe you needed, a specific MSB, but you could convert it. Today, you can't even do that anymore. Then fast forward to, this just past year with COVID and how much, the entire world, specifically the US, realized how much they need blockchain and crypto and how effective it is, and all of the development with that. And it's just crazy how fast they are to try and regulate. And unfortunately, it comes a lot from one, obviously wanting to tax it, right? And two, another really big issue is that they're just very cutthroat. They're not even thinking about it, and some of the regulators are just making it very, very personal. So I don't know if you're kind of up to date about what's going on here, but 2 weeks ago, they were kind of trying to put in a new bill, and the regulators who were basically the decision makers with this bill, it ended up being one guy who he wanted funds, to go to military. Every single person has their own personal agenda, and it's kind of frustrating that something that's so innovative is basically being blocked or not being, taken care of by the right people. And there are brilliant minds here and globally, and I think that there's enough research that has been done that people can really understand what's going on. I mean, you can see in Europe, even with China. I mean, even if you don't agree with their laws or their rules and regulations and things that they've done, it's being implemented. So you can see, like, if you want to see the process of creating a CBDC and what that means and how that affects the end user, there's so many things that you can look at and you can compare. And if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said, you know what, the US, maybe they're late, but we're going to be number one. We're going to be number one because we're going to do it right. We're not going to have any crypto scams. Like, it's going to be regulated, but with Coinbase and everything that's going on and like the acceptance, and it's going to be great. And now, fast forward, and I don't know, maybe it's because of this specific administration and, and what they're trying to do. And again, like I said, specifically in terms of their personal agenda, or, just trying to tax anything and everything as much as possible. It's just really, really frustrating. And that's something that, we need to see. But obviously, the US works really different than the rest of the world. And, although it's like one country, every single state kind of has its own rules and regulations and the way that they do things. And it obviously needs to go through several different, levels to actually get things passed. And also there's a lot of laws, from way back when, that basically they're trying to base this new technology on. And it's a lot that they need to go through. So it's kind of frustrating on one side that they're not really gathering the right people to do this, and they keep trying to instill fear so that, it's the American way, right? Like, be scared, we're gonna come get you. Like, don't mess with us, because if you mess up, that's it. And on one hand, okay, maybe the best will win, right? So obviously, the most regulated and the most powerful with the most money, and essentially, if you're looking at just exchanges, right, like centralized exchanges, yeah, maybe that's what you're looking for in terms of trust and security, and that they're heavily regulated, and I agree, and that's fine. But then on the other hand, you have so much more to this industry, you know what I mean? And they're just basically trying to do one set of laws or rules and regulations and apply it to everybody, and it's not the right thing to do, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. So there's positives, and there's negatives, and we'll just have to see what's going to happen. I mean, I don't see any of the companies stopping, in terms of development, in terms of financial institutions, continuing to be on board with everything that's going on. So, I mean, even after what happened, like I said recently, in terms of the bill that was that was basically passed, I mean, Bitcoin jumped, Ethereum jumped, everything jumped. So it's happening.
Definitely, and a lot happening, especially in the US as well. But we've
Yes.
always seen, if we flick the history book, we've always seen great innovation being slowed down through regulation. They use regulation to pretty much slow down innovation, and we've seen that time and time again. What do you reckon is the challenge currently for blockchain to be, well recognized and fully regulated so it can, fasten the adoption of technology? Is it the regulators that basically not understanding the technology and they're just kicking the can and making it longer to be adopted, or do you reckon it's just education that's uh, not being sufficiently passed on?
I mean, it's, this industry is so, again, it's so wide. And so, when you speak about adoption, I mean, it's moving pretty fast. And you have, blockchain and the technology itself, right? And everything that can be traced. And so obviously, and of course, it's probably the smartest and the best thing for any, government or any financial institution to really make use of the technology itself. But then you have to break it down into, several other factors. I mean, you can take a look at it as just maybe crypto and, Bitcoin adoption, or, other tokens, and what's going on with that, and NFTs, and STOs, and, you name it. I mean, it touches upon every single industry. So in terms of, I feel in terms of, adoption with that, I mean, it's crazy how much that's improved. And even in Australia, where you are, Kraken just came out with an article that like over 30%, of the young generation in Australia is involved in cryptocurrency. So that's a pretty huge number, specifically, where you guys are based, where let's say um, it's not really, regulated. It's not like a specific license that you need. Yeah, you do need to, kind of go through Austrac and all of that, but it's not like with other countries. A lot of banks also weren't really on board in Australia. It was really, really hard to find liquidity providers, and, for the exchanges to feel supported. And I think that that's grown, phenomenally. Like, you guys have about 10 exchanges that, sprouted within the last, I think, a year and a half, 2 years. So in terms of that adoption, I think that it is moving forward. In terms of, even if it's not something that you agree with, a lot of countries have been researching CBDCs and, stable coins, and, what they can do with that. So I think in terms of adoption, in all of the industries, it is growing. For me, I think that to help it grow even more, and what we're trying to do basically with our new office in Miami, is to really target the end user, right? The daily user, and how he can take this technology and understand how he really can apply it to his daily life, right? So, I mean, a lot of people like to make the comparison of, when the internet came out, but it's a great comparison, right? So, I mean, think about it today, like everybody has an email account, everybody goes online. So it's basically, for me, for the day-to-day, usage, and for, I guess, like mass adoption, I guess you could say, for the average Joe, that's what I'm focused on. And I think it just needs to be marketed differently, not the way that it has been. And I think it's scary, it's scary. I mean, even if you look at Coinbase, okay, Coinbase is a great example. I mean, obviously they're very successful. Everybody knows who they are. Every single American, if you ask them right now, where you're going to buy crypto, they're going to say Coinbase, right? But if you actually go to Coinbase, I mean, it's it's kind of scary, if you're a first time user, and there's almost, the customer support is like non-existent. It's really non-existent. I mean, so I have people, who have told me, oh, do you have connections in Coinbase? I got locked out of my account. I don't know what to do. What's going on? Like, people don't really get it. They don't understand that they have to be careful. not necessarily just from a risk, factor, but also, once you send crypto, like it's not, you can't just get it back. It doesn't work like things, like your regular bank account works. Yes, I think that at least, where in the type of work that I do, I kind of try and, merge the two worlds. But still, I think that, the daily user doesn't have enough experience. It's not marketed properly for them, and I think they just see it as this sort of like, I guess, like a get rich quick bubble that it's not really true, right? So yeah. So all in all, I would say that I mean, adoption is a big thing, right? But I think still for the average Joe, it needs to be marketed way better. Specifically in the U.S., I think in Europe they're actually very strong in that in this industry, but I think in U.S. they still have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, couldn't agree less. I think the technology developed so quickly after the internet that our society was just getting used to online deliveries, buying stuff online. They were just slowly trusting, you know, the online marketplace, so as to say the virtual marketplace. But then there's like a big bomb that's dropped, and that's like digital asset, and now like you can have everything digital. You don't need to have something tangible in your hands. And that's kind of creepy, when we open say Coinbase app or a Binance app. It's like, charts everywhere. There's like red and green signals, and like
Exactly.
you buy
Scary.
something $50 and suddenly it's like 45 in next second.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very scary for
Yeah,
someone who
people don't
just
understand how much it costs. Like, I remember people used to give examples like, okay, right, I was saying that I want the average Joe to use it, but I'm not going to recommend someone go and, buy their coffee with Bitcoin. Like, it's just not, people don't take into consideration, gas fees, exchange fees. Like,
yeah.
it doesn't really work like that. And I think that, in order to be able to really, have it be something that people use on a day-to-day basis, it needs to be properly, marketed, and it needs to be properly accepted, and people need to understand that and realize that when they're trying to market their products. I mean, I see people, they come to me all the time. I mean, clients of mine as well, they don't really understand how to properly market, their products. And in the blockchain space, you can work, for a year or two, even just developing something. And what did you do? It's not going to be used.
Yeah, no, definitely very good points there. Like customer support, I think is essential, and making people give that, kind of like a belief system saying, this is what it is. It's it's safe, and these are the different options you have, and this is how you hold your cryptos. Lack of education, so as to say. And I think you're doing a amazing job as well with you take online and crypto media group. We're trying. What are we doing there? Can we speak a little bit about that?
So in terms of, actually, since we're touching on education, so with the crypto media group, that's my number one. I think that, like I said, it's important for people to feel like they can relate, to this new technology. So my whole thing is basically taking, you know, um, each industry and really showing them how this can apply to them. So whether it be real estate or retail, nightclubs, luxury goods. So every single merchant or every single company, you can be a startup, you can be, an individual business owner. It doesn't matter. You really can take something, whether it has to do with blockchain or whether it has to do with crypto or crypto payments or whatever it may be. So I think that is kind of, my main focus right now, and my goal, into, like I said, educating, showing people that basically, yes, they can apply this to their industry. And I also think that it's a great marketing tool. It gives them the upper hand. I'm going to be coming out within the next 2 weeks with my real estate course, the basically blockchain and crypto for real estate. And that's going to be huge, huge in Miami. And I definitely think that it will give, the realtors or the brokers an upper hand when they have that stamp saying, yes, I totally know how to do a crypto transaction, or I do know how to, tokenize this asset. So I think that, there's an entire toolbox that I have to give, all of these professionals and individuals in whatever space that they're in. And I'm really excited about that. And I think that, like I said, it's important to know who your target audience is and not just throw things out there because it's not relatable. It's not going to get the job done. And it's such a great time to be alive, right? I mean, it's really, it's making huge changes in all of the industries. So I think it's important. I think it's important to educate. I know that there's a lot of other very big companies that for them also education is a very big thing. And I think that, let's say when I look at my daughter, yeah, I automatically think like, okay, for her generation, yes, I would love for her, to get into something that has to do with the space. I just think that it's an added benefit because a lot of people who, are at the top, they don't know these things. They don't have that experience. And you can see lawyers that have opened, crypto consulting firms, or they specialize, only in blockchain technology, and it could be there's so many rules and regulations, and depending on which country and transactions or accounting and tax. So I think that if you educate yourself and you have the experience, then definitely you will 100% have the upper hand in whatever you do, basically, whatever your profession is.
Think, especially when it comes to like real estate, once the crypto is, you can buy a real estate with cryptocurrency, it's gonna be a game changer because pretty much you're, exchanging an asset class to another asset class as well. And yeah, that'll be very exciting to see. And the last interview I had with Jeff Yu, who is also a former CEO of Binance Australia, what he mentioned was, what we're doing right now may not affect us as much because this is like it'll take time to grow, but it's definitely gonna make huge impact in the future generations as well. And yeah, like doing such things will really help future society and how they make transactions as well. Do you agree with that?
Especially because they like things fast. They don't have patience. They like things cheap, right? They don't like middlemen, and this is perfect for this generation. And that's why also I think that you can see that it's great. I mean, in comparison to, when I think about what I was interested in high school or, in college, in comparison to, the young groups today, young men and women, they're investing in crypto just like we were supposed to think of investing in the stock market. And it really is very, very similar. And so it's great to see. And I think that really we should look to them for a lot of how we're going to bring this into our day-to-day life, just like you take your phone and you pay with your Apple Pay or your Samsung Pay or your Google Pay. So that's what's going to be with crypto. It's going to be the same thing. I think that every single retailer is going to be accepting crypto, and if you're not, you're just going to be behind. You're going to lose. And I think that that's where we're heading, and it's going to happen very, very soon. That's also something that I've been working on, and also provide payment solutions globally. And I see it. I see the success rate. I see how the business owners, how much more revenue they can get, how much of a marketing tool it is. So I think that it's great. It
Yeah,
really
no,
is great.
amazing. Yeah. And what I've noticed is, correct me if I'm wrong, that people do hold a lot of cryptos as well, but there's more for like trading purpose. They don't try to understand the technology and, you know, support the adoptions as much. They're more like into, you know, just trading and gaining profits as such. So, yep, I think with education, we can provide more information about the technology and um, just show the world that how much bigger it is compared to just, you know, trading profits,
Trading
pretty
is
much.
great. Don't get me wrong. Trading is great. And it's unreal what's going on right now. I mean, and what you can do and allow yourself to be able to do in the crypto space and the token space, you can never do, in the stock market. I mean, it's crazy. It really is something that's going to be in the history books. I mean, just just unbelievable. I mean, you can join a Telegram group, and and everybody goes in, and they're all saying they're going to purchase the coin and it's going to boost, and you can't do that with with the stock market. So it's pretty crazy. And again, that's a lot of the younger generation. I mean, everything that you see going on in terms of NFTs and gaming and all of those, altcoins, and it's all I think more so the younger generation, and it's globally. So it's like exactly like I said, breaking the boundaries and borders, and it's really great to see this community and how it's brought a lot of people together. So
You have also been a great advocate of women in blockchain. You've yourself set an example to the people saying, like, you know, I know it can be a bit daunting at first for women to get into blockchain, but you know, there's something that women in general needs to adopt and get involved as well. Do you have what made you take that step?
I mean, for me specifically, I just saw the added benefit of bringing it into my business and day-to-day life. And actually, you know, I have to give, props to the men in this industry because, I mean, they're just so accepting. It's not an issue. It's never a man versus woman, older or younger, or I've never felt anything like that in this industry. Again, like I said, a lot of people don't have the education or, the proper tools or experience. So I think it doesn't matter who you are when you come into the space. If you have, the goods to back it up, then you are 100% accepted with open arms. And for me, in terms of women in blockchain, obviously I'm for women empowerment, and I think that it's important. And I think that it's beyond crypto and blockchain. It's about financial independence, and in general, the crypto and blockchain community is about financial freedom and financial independence. So I think that it's something that I always encourage um, women, young girls, to really get involved in. And actually, there are a ton of women killing it in this industry. And it's just amazing to see. Really, really great to see. I mean, I can tell you, we laugh about this all the time, but when we're at like a social gathering or something, me and my husband, and it's, typically, when the men go off and they have, discussions about, I don't know, Robinhood and Bitcoin and crypto and whatever, my husband's like, don't talk to me, go talk to my wife. And it's always that joke. Like, it's not it's not what it used to be anymore, right? Like it's not just these men in suits and ties. It's these nerds in t-shirts, with these unicorns, and there's even some companies that they have only women, and I think that it's great. And I think that, females and women have a lot to give in this industry. So again, I'm all for women in blockchain, and I've been pushing that a lot. And the response that I've received has been great. Has been great. So it's just amazing. So I think kudos to both men and women on this side, because in comparison to any other industry, really here it's completely different, and it's really changing. So
Okay, we're just coming to the end of the podcast, and I think this is the last question I would like to ask you before we call this off. What do you think is the future for crypto? Do you reckon mass adoption in the horizon? We have, banks having their own digital currencies, people. Every asset gets tokenized. There's a lot of boom in the NFTs. Artists are minting NFTs, and there's very positive adoption. Do you reckon, or a lot of challenges to come, like China, banning crypto? Will there be more other countries that'll be banning crypto alongside with China, and there'll be more,
I mean,
pushing
obviously
forward
everything that you
in the
just
crypto
said. So
industry?
yes, 1000% yes. And I do think that it's going to be used in our day-to-day life just as easy as, you use your Apple Pay or, your Netflix account or whatever it is. It's basically going to come down to that. And I think again, if people are not going to spend time on educating themselves, then they are going to be left behind. And I think that it's important. That's something, again, that I'm really going to be focusing on with our new office. And I'll send it to you so that you can give your subscribers, the option to join and sign up and really educate themselves. So yes, I think that that's important. And I definitely think it's going to be massively adopted even in China, even if you look at it kind of in a bad thing and maybe they banned it, on the other hand, again, you have a lot to learn from basically what's going on there and how they are, taking the CBDC and being able to use it and how they track everything. And whether you agree with it or not, again, you can witness what's going on and you can take things from it. And I really hope that, the governments really understand, what they've been given and will be able to utilize it, for the good and to really do their research and put the proper people there and not just look at it as, okay, well, we can tax this or, okay, I can take this thing and spin it for my own personal agenda. And I think that, with Bitcoiners or hodlers or however you want to call them, I think that that's kind of what's great, and the fact that it's not like, Ethereum, who the founder is, or, some of the other blockchains, is that you really can't control it. So, um, it's like it's always that clash again, those two worlds, and they're gonna have to meet in the middle. I think if you, look, I mean, it's crazy how much within the last forget the last year, the last 6 months, like what's been going on, from a regulatory standpoint globally, right? I mean, from China, Australia, Singapore, Europe, the US, it's insane. And obviously, it's going to be used. It's always been used. It was just kind of kept on the down low. And I think that it's time. So my biggest suggestion for everybody would be, not to overlook this and to really spend time on educating yourselves, um, so that you can basically be a part of this great innovation.
Yep, thank you so much for doing this. You heard her. That was Sharon Knoller for you. Do follow her on LinkedIn. She's doing an amazing job, educating people and bringing more women in blockchain. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this. It was great to have you in this podcast.
Thank you for having me.